Is banning social media for young people the way forward? At Chat Europe, we ask ourselves this very question, one which many European countries are thinking about. France, for example, wants to restrict social media access for kids aged 15 and below from September onwards. And it's a policy already in place in Australia, where a law banning social media platforms for under 16s went into effect in December 2025. Engaging with social media means taking on the risk of being exposed to inappropriate content, cyber harassment, hateful speech. Well, these platforms are a wild west of sorts, so on paper, there appear to be many pros. But with more research, it turns out that the right answer is not that easy to pinpoint. We spoke to Tobias Dienlin, professor for media psychology at the University of Zurich, whose research focuses on the impact of social media on users' well-being. He told us about a study that's underway in Austria, which is collecting data from more than 20,000 school-going teenagers.
Those who use social networking sites more report lower levels of well-being. They show substantial correlations, especially when it comes to social networking site use and both types of well-being, so life satisfaction and depressive symptoms. When it comes to instant messengers, there's basically next to no relevant effect left, right? So it's interesting that that part of social media that is more about connecting and active communication and texting friends, which is what instant messengers more represent, that seems to there we can't really find relevant negative effects.
For Professor Dienlin, the results suggest that a ban on social media platforms could be correlated positively with better well-being in young people, but it's far from the only solution.
So while it might make sense to ban, especially social networking sites for especially young users, I think it's still, I would even say, essential to also leverage, nurture, foster media literacy and help people navigate those spaces and improve the way we deal with those spaces and users.
So, it's clear that teaching youngsters the best practices to navigate social media platforms is becoming more and more important. Which is why we went to a high school in Besançon in the east of France to see how this works in practice. Programs like this one exist all across Europe, and for Professor Dienlin, they're essential measures, but not just on their own. Why? Because this implies that users have to impose limits on themselves, and social media platforms have no incentive to change their design.
It then also shifts the entire responsibility in a way to the user, and they need to limit themselves, but social networking sites can be as addictive as they want, right? I would say the EU basically is the only actor that does have the leverage or the lever to put that pressure on US companies, because it's surely not coming from the US.
Well, what do you think? How could we make social media safer for everyone? Let us know in the comments below. And follow Chat Europe for more stories on living in the EU.